Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing empathy. So if you're interested, like the video, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. So let's get right into it. Today we're going to talk about empathy and just really getting into the details of what it is and the types of empathy. I'm going to go over two main types of empathy. What is empathy? So empathy is the ability to share and understand the feelings of another. Gain the ability to sense other people's feelings and emotions. Also the ability to possibly sense what someone is thinking or feeling. So statements like, I know things are hard right now, but I'm here. I understand what you're feeling. This may be really hard for you. Or saying like, what you're saying is making so much sense. Or I wish I could have been there for you when that happened. Statements like that, for example, are ways to show empathy. And it also shows that you are listening to the person that is speaking to you. That is another way of showing empathy. When I say listening, I don't mean like being on your phone or looking in another direction. Like, look them in their face, look them in their eyes, nod, actually engage, be engaging. I mean, like, talking, listen to what they're saying. Sometimes people just need you to listen. They don't need unsolicited advice. That's another thing that I would say is a great way to show empathy. Listen to what someone is saying, and if they ask you for advice, then give your advice. But listen to understand. So I'm just going to point out two types of empathy, and the first one I'm going to start with is cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy could also be referred to as perspective taking. So taking on another's perspective on life or whatever situation, taking on their perspective, imagining what it may be like in their shoes given the circumstances, understanding someone's feelings. Like an example may be if your friend goes for a job interview and they don't get the job and they feel really down about themselves and insecure, and you're there for them, but in your mind you're thinking you have so much potential and you have so many gifts and you're so talented. Like, I know you're gonna get a good job. I know things will get better, and I know that you'll get the job that you deserve. That is cognitive empathy. Now we can move on to the next one. Emotional empathy. This can also be referred to as affective empathy. Now, emotional empathy is a bit self-explanatory. Taking on the other person's emotions, feeling your own emotional distress in response to someone else's pain. And of course, feeling compassion for someone else's emotions and their pain and their suffering. Now for me, when I see someone is hurting or I see someone in pain, I feel that pain. So when someone is going through something and they're telling me about it, I feel it. I can feel the heaviness and the pain and the sadness that comes along with it, and it makes me sad. And that's a perfect example of emotional empathy. For me, it's not hard to care about someone and to take on someone else's feelings and put myself in someone else's shoes, because that's the way I would like to be treated. I would want someone to take my feelings into consideration. I would want someone to, if I'm talking to them about how I feel, I would want them to pay attention to what I'm saying, pay attention to the words that I use, and actually, listen. And if I ask for advice, give me the best advice that they can possibly give. But, also at the same time, try not to make it about them, because right now I need this spotlight or whatever. Like, right now I'm coming to you for this advice or whatever. Like, don't make it about you. I feel like that should be a normal thing, and that's why I'm making this video. Cognitive and emotional empathy should be at the top of your personality, in my opinion, or your characteristics or whatever. Having empathy for people takes a lot of strength, and especially people that you may feel don't deserve your empathy, may not deserve your sympathy, you know, but everyone deserves empathy. Everyone, even serial killers. Like, I'm not saying what they did wasn't wrong, but you know, you have to take into account what that person may have been through, you know, the way that person may have been raised, you know, how that child was treated. And because, you know, we all started off as children, like, we cannot forget that. And how we were raised plays a big part on how we treat people and how we treat ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. I just think it's really important that, you know, we show empathy for people, you know, as much as we can. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because, you know, I fell off with the empathy thing, and it's crazy that I'm even making this video, because I'm not saying I fell off. It's just I'm not as empathetic as I used to be. Because, you know, I've been through a lot in the past year, and I've just been on demon mode. I'm just gonna say that. But I'm trying to get back into that space where, you know, I'm thinking before I talk. You know, I'm paying attention to, you know, how I'm feeling, and when someone is speaking to me, I listen, and I don't, you know, try not to be distracted, and I listen to what they're saying, and I'm engaging, and if they need a different perspective, I give them the best advice or perspective that I could possibly give that would fit, that would help them at that time. I think practicing empathy is a major part of your healing as well. And, you know, this channel is all about healing, and the wind isn't even blowing, and all these leaves are falling. But yeah, practicing empathy, and I want to get more into the connection with people. You know, when someone sees that you're really listening to them, and that you're really engaged in what they're saying, you actually care about what they're saying, and you empathize with them, you know, that is a beautiful way to connect with people. Making someone feel heard and understood is very powerful and compassionate and empathetic. You know, it's like, why not? That's really what it is for me. It's like, why not empathize with someone? Why not, especially with someone you care about? You know, why not, you know, show that person how much you care by just doing something, the bare minimum, you know, looking at them while they're speaking, you know, not being distracted, and, you know, listening. Don't say anything unless, you know, they want you to say something. And if they do want you to say something, try not to use, you know, terms that will, I'll say, like, deter them from their thought process. Like, you know, just saying statements like in the beginning, like I said, like, you know, I understand how you're feeling, and, you know, I'm here for you, you know, things like that. Just showing them that you care and that you're listening, and that you're there for them, and that, you know, everything's okay. Like, I'm here, you know, I'm listening to you, and, you know, if you need me, you know, I got you. Like, I'm here. Practicing that, you know, those are just a few things, is a great way to, you know, become more empathetic. And, you know, to close out the video, you know, not being able to empathize with people and be empathetic, you know, it can take a toll on your family relationships, your romantic relationships, you know, work, and how you function in society. And keep in mind, you know, a lot of us have been traumatized from our childhood. So, you know, being emotionally dysregulated for that long amount of time, like, I'll say, you know, let's say you were, you know, traumatized at like 5, and haven't really been able to identify that up until you were 20. And you have been emotionally dysregulated for all that time. That emotional dysregulation can be extremely overwhelming. And, it may have, manifested, a lot of overwhelming feelings and emotions in your life, throughout your daily life. And you may get burnt out really fast emotionally. And I can relate to this, after a while. It's like you don't want to be empathetic. You don't want to have empathy and practice empathy because they're having a conversation. You don't want to practice empathy because, it's too painful for you to be there for somebody else. Your emotions are so dysregulated. It's hard for you to give that energy to someone else because, you don't know how to. So making sure that you take good care of yourself, eating right, meditating, and, exercising, and taking time out to do activities that you enjoy, that you love, is part of the foundation to having healthy boundaries toward, showing empathy toward people. You won't be giving what you don't have if you practice these things for yourself. Also, being mindful of the things that you do. And it could be just as small as brushing your teeth. Like, pay attention when you're brushing your teeth. Pay attention when you're washing your face. Like, be mindful. That's what I want to say. Be mindful when you're brushing your teeth. Be mindful when you're doing your hair or when you're exercising. Pay attention to everything that you're doing. Do it with an intent. Pay attention when you're eating, when you're walking, things like that. When you're sitting outside, just like right now, like I'm looking at the trees. It helps to say it. I'm looking at the trees. I'm looking at the grass. The bird is chirping. The 3 birds are flying in the air. I'm sitting on a bench. A leaf just hit my shoulder. A leaf just hit my arm. Like, stuff like that. The leaves are falling. And, stuff like that. Just be mindful. Branch just hit my leg. Just be mindful of the things that you do. Don't just do it. Just do stuff. And don't not even think about what you're doing. It's like being in autopilot. Last but not least, learn to accept your emotions. Every day, practice accepting your emotions. It's not going to be easy in the beginning, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Don't push it away. Don't say, "Oh, I don't want to feel like this, so I'm gonna just do this." Like, sit in it for a little bit. Understand why you feel the way that you feel. In the middle of this video, I wanted to stop. I didn't want to finish this video because I felt like this is stupid. Like, I don't like the way this is going. Like, it's boring. I just don't like it. And I had to sit with myself for a second and, why am I feeling this way, And it all comes from me feeling like I'm not enough. Like, what I have to say is not enough. I'm not important enough for anyone to sit here and listen to what I have to say. And I had to, sit in that for a second, and I kept going. And, I didn't just keep going, because if I would have kept going, then I would have just finished the video the way I planned on finishing it, and I still wouldn't have liked it. But that's just an example. But, your everyday feelings, the things that you struggle with, that you're aware of, and if that you're not aware of, try to become more aware of how you feel throughout the day and sit in it for a little bit. Question yourself, why do I feel this way? And be honest. Soothe yourself. That's the best way I can put it. Soothe yourself through these emotions. It will become more natural the more you do it. And when you do that for yourself, it's like, I'm just using an example of a charger. Imagine my screen You know how the old iPhone charger things used to be like a block for each, block of how much your phone is charged, whatever. And imagine that is filled. When you practice all that every day, you're filled up for the day. And it's easier to maybe give a bar to someone that needs it, and you'll have plenty of energy left for yourself. If you only have this much, you only charged up this much during the day, and someone needs this much, then that's all you have left for yourself. And that's why you have feelings of being burnt out or overwhelmed, because you didn't fill yourself up enough to be giving to somebody else, emotionally, energetically, all that. So that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you are interested in seeing more videos like this. Again, I post every Monday, and that's going to be my schedule for now, once a week, every Monday. And thank you again so much, you guys, for watching and liking and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it, and I love all of you. So, thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.